Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of J Social's Touchline Talks. It is officially the international break. I hope you guys are taking a well deserved rest from the chaos that is the league, whether it's the Premier League, the Serie A, the Liga, whatever league you support. Obviously, these are stressful times. Teams are trying to make Europe, teams that's trying to survive relegation battles. So there is, and also obviously title challenges as well. Obviously, we know who the winner of the Serie A is, which is Napoli. Congratulations to Napoli fans for this milestone, this great achievement in your history. La Liga, we just saw the El Clasico over the weekend. Barcelona beating Real Madrid, extending that lead to 12 points. But it's the international break, and this is a time where, as fans, we get to reflect on the season so far. We touch on administrative topics that we typically don't really delve into too much because of how fast things go during the season. You know, we're having games every 2 or 3 days. So let's get started. This video is basically just my opinion about the Manchester United takeover. Sky Sports broke the news yesterday that the potential buyers, Sheikh Jassim and Jim Ratcliffe, and a few other bidders, missed the deadline to present their bids in. Obviously, that deadline has been extended. And so I wanted to kind of know, what are your thoughts before I even get into what I think about the potential buyers? What are your thoughts, guys? What do you guys think? Who do you want to take over our club? Do you want the big government? Do you want, the royal family, the Qataris to take over? Or do you want a businessman to take over? Obviously, the fan base is not split, but there's a lot of people in the fan base, especially those that are based out of Manchester, that are local to the Manchester area, that would like to see the club being kept as a family club, giving it to somebody who is more local, giving it to a fan, giving it to somebody who is not going to have too much of international ties. But there is also a huge part of the fan base that's not English, that's not from Manchester, that don't really care about the whole family club thing, because let's face it, Manchester United has not been a family club for a long time, because majority of the fan base is not in England. Look at me here in Canada, Ontario. Look at me here in Ontario, Canada, and I'm a huge United fan. So this shows you how global this fan base is. So the club is definitely bigger than just Manchester. So obviously, Sheikh Jassim and Jim Ratcliffe are the two primary candidates to take over Manchester United. In terms of network, Jim Ratcliffe doesn't even compare to the Qataris, right? These guys were talking, multiple billions of dollars, close to trillions of dollars, depending on who's doing the accounting. So just really quick, so I want to just give a quick, just my potential pros and cons on each one. Let's start with the Sheikh Jassim. You know, it's a very exciting prospect. It's a very exciting prospect. Obviously, Manchester United, we've fallen from grace. We've had the Glazers for how many years now? Over almost 15 seasons, I think. Not that long, but we've had them for quite some time. We've seen how the infrastructure of our club, internally, externally, structural wise, has collapsed, has suffered a long time. And obviously, we've all voiced our opinions. We want the Glazers out. We want the Glazers out. But who can we bring in? So Sheikh Jassim, I think the pros is obviously it's going to be a massive investment in the club. I think in the community as well. You look at what the Emirates. You look at what is happening in Man City. The stadium getting developed, the youth academy was getting developed, the city of Manchester getting developed on the blue side. So there's a lot of work that can happen when such owners do come into your city. Another good thing too with the Qataris, or Sheikh Jassim, is the growth of your brand. You look at what they did at PSG, the whole Jordan brand thing. Now PSG's brand is global, it's massive. So that's another good thing, because Manchester United still has one of the largest fan bases, but our brand has taken a massive hit over the years. If you're somebody that's born in the 2000s, you're probably more of a Man City fan, a Chelsea fan, than you are a Manchester United fan. Just because in recent years, in the last decade, we've seen City and Chelsea collect more trophies domestically than Manchester United, and also obviously attracting big names as well. Qataris, because of their brand, their reach, the money, pockets are deep, guys. So you can be sure that we can attract bigger names. We can attract, like when we're talking like the Mbappes. Even though it would be nice to see Mbappe, it would be nice to see Mbappe, but the likes of Mbappe's, Neymar's. Even though Neymar is not that big anymore, he's still big art. He's still a big player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not someone that I want to see come into a club if we were to inject that kind of money. So, yeah, like I said, big names, that's going to be huge for us, especially if we're trying to compete with City, with our quiet neighbors. So that's definitely on the good side of things. They're going to be able to invest in the infrastructure. And what do I mean by invest in the infrastructure? Like I said, like we've talked about the roof leaking in the stadium. The stadium hasn't been updated since the Glazers took over. You look at the youth academy. Yes, we have some promising talents, but as Manchester United, we need to have one of the best in class, like Gary Neville would say, best in class, best in class. Youth academy, we need to have the best in class youth academy. Also, the women's team as well. We need to invest in the women's team. Women's football is becoming huge, and we need to respect that, and we need to show that we, as a club, we care about the female team, whether it's from, the training ground, facilities, not even having a washroom. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. So, and he's seen the women's team. They're actually doing big things. What's her name? The goalkeeper actually did win FIFA's best goalkeeper. So that shows that female football is up and coming, and so is Manchester. So that's what I really want to see from owners, being able to not just take over the club, but invest in the club. Let's really quickly talk about cons. Well, cons, PSG, perfect example, PSG. Such a massive investment has been made. Brand awareness has, the PSG has Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. They've gone through the entire list of big names, and the one thing that they still can't win is the Champions League. Right? I'm not saying that that's not. I'm not saying that that is necessary a strategy of theirs as why it's not working. It could be various factors. It could just be the types of players that they're getting. It could be the coaches that they keep hiring. It could be so many different things. But that's something that I think we need to be aware of. Has that project actually worked at PSG? Yes, they've won countless League On titles, but League On titles, when you have such players, that should be the bare minimum. That should be the bare minimum. So, has that strategy worked? Let me know. What do you guys think? Do you think that PSG is a success or could still be a success in the future? And I think the biggest one for me, apart from the strategy not working, m- might not be working, I would say, is the political risk. Let's talk about that. The political risk. We've seen what's happening around the world. There's a lot of political tensions going on, well, East versus West, human rights, whatever it may be. There's a lot of tension. We saw what happened with the FIFA World Cup in Qatar. One of the most successful World Cups that I've witnessed. But there was a lot of controversies. There was a lot of anger about the World Cup being in Qatar for various reasons, human rights, political unrest, whatever it may be. So that's something I think we really need to take into consideration, because you know all it takes is one little thing to happen, and the next thing you know it, governments are clashing. The UK government is clashing with the Qatari government or the Middle East, and all of a sudden we now have a Chelsea type of situation on our hands where we're having to sell the club rapidly, and then we're just kind of desperate to give the club to whoever is able to afford the club. So that's not a situation that you want to find yourselves in. We're seeing how this has negatively impacted Chelsea's seasons. Obviously, they're slowly getting out of that rut, but it can hugely impact the next 5 years, next 5 to 10 years of your um, of of your club. It really of your club's future. If such tensions could arise, and they could arise, especially the political climate of the world right now is very uncertain. Also, my last point I was going to say too was, what if the fans don't like? We've had the Glazers for how long, and we've wanted them out for so long because of lack of investing, lack of a vision. We haven't agreed with their vision, guys. What if the same something similar has happens with the Qataris with Sheikh Jasmine or Yasmin? What would happen, guys? Because it's one thing to say, "Oh, we're going to protest," but the reality is, we could protest all we want. Who is buying that club? Like who can buy the Qataris out? No, I don't know who's got that money. Let me know who's got that kind of money that if things are not working out, that they can get bought out. The only way they'll be leaving the club is on their own terms, on their own decision. So, if you're buying a club for, let's say, 7 billion, and the owners are worth 500 billion dollars, or entire GDP of Qatar, then you have to ask yourselves, like, how do we get out of this mess? How do we get out of the Goliath of the situation, of the financial situation? So I think that's something that we need to think about, right? Those are the things that we need to consider. Just moving on. So let me know what you thought about my opinions about the pros and cons of um, Sheikh Jasmine taking over Manchester United. And then Jim Ratcliffe, really quick. Obviously, the pros for Jim Ratcliffe, he's a billionaire in England, from England, local boy. One of the obviously the pro is just basically keeping it local. We love to keep things local, help the community. We want, a lot of fans want that English blood, somebody who understands the culture of the country, understands the culture of football in England, which I think that's very key. That's something that the Glazers definitely did not understand. They didn't understand how big football is, the footballing culture in England, especially Manchester United. I don't think they did their homework on that. Like I said, keeping it local, fan of the club. He's a huge fan of the club, lifelong fan. Obviously, so it's a Cinderella, Disney-esque type of story where the fan of the club takes over the club, and everything is, we live happily ever after as fans. I'm just kidding, but yeah, just being a fan of the club, right? So he can make decisions. So hopefully, being a fan of the club, he's able to make decisions that are in the best interest of the club, right? That's what you would like to hope from a fan. Cons: at the pockets deep, I don't know. How much is he worth? He's worth a few $1 billion. There's rumors that he might not, with the takeover, we have a lot of debt to pay. We have a lot of debt to pay. Is he going to be, does he have enough money to take over the club, pay those debts off? Um, you know, work on the infrastructure, work on the infrastructure. So, like I said, pros, potential Glazer situation on our hands with the club being a cash cow. Could this end up just being another takeover where a lot of money is being siphoned out of the club and not much investment is put into the club? Because it's like, as an individual, when you buy your first property, you dump all your down payment into all your savings into a down payment. And then after you get the house, you can't even afford couches. You can't afford the furniture. So could this end up being the same similar situation as that? Enough capital, like I said, enough capital to pay off debt, invest in the stadium, training facilities, the youth academy, and like I said, pay off debt. Can he do all that? Can he do all that, or is this going to end up being taking different loans in order to finance all these projects that don't end up working out? So, and then the last word and last thing, can we, with such pockets, with his pockets not being so deep per se compared to the Qataris or Sheikh Jasmine, is, can we compete with City? Can we compete with the UAE owners in City? Can we compete with them, right? Because we're talking, this is two different That's a whole different level of net worth. Can we compete with what City has done? With the youth academy, with their stadiums and things like that. So that's very interesting. I think that's the concern that people have with Jim Ratcliffe joining, being taken over Manchester United is, can he compete with the best of the best? Because Manchester United, we need to start competing. We need owners that can actually support the coaches that we bring in. Now we have a coach like Ten Hag. We want to see, a great future for Ten Hag, but that's only possible with with backing of your owners and monetary backing of your owners. Sorry, guys, I can't speak right now. Monetary backing of your owners. So, guys, I wanted to speak this very short. I ended up being over 15 minutes, but let me know what you think. Do you agree with my pros and cons of each owner, Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim? Let me know what you think. I just want us not to get too carried away because sometimes when you see that briefcase with money, we all get very excited and we get carried away. But the main thing for me is I want an owner who respects the team, respects the club, wants, has true, genuine intentions of the club, able to invest in the community. And, at the end of the day, there's no perfect owner, but I want to see an owner that at least has the vision that we all want to see as a fan base. So please continue to like, share, subscribe. It means a lot. And till next time, catch you guys later. Take care.